If we just look at the women's movement itself, Phyllis Chesler makes it very clear that the movement was not led by saintly women. Backstabbing, intellectual theft, jealousy, envy, and pettiness were part and parcel of the feminist experience. Women did not always treat each other kindly, Chesler explained. Somehow we expected feminists who are also women to behave radically in different ways. We were shocked as we learned one by one that feminists didn't always treat each other with respect or compassion. And also she talked about in the book that the feminists it's not really about women all being all equal, because the women that disagree with them, with the women that write books like this, they feel like they have no place. They want to silence these women. And another great point she makes in the book is that oftentimes these leaders of these feminist movements, if you look at their personal history, their personal lives, their upbringing, the majority of these women, their mothers, all had mental illnesses. That plays into a role. That's a video for another day, but a lot of these famous activists or activists that people follow, I'm saying like within the last hundreds of years, the upbringing, the family, if one of the parents had a mental illness or different, like that influences them to want to make a change. We don't hear about the broken woman after an abortion, the career woman who wishes she had more children or any children at all, the extensive physical damage caused by the pill, or the children devastated by divorce. And yet, this is the wreckage left behind by the culture the matriarchy has produced. Feminism has effectively made itself fashionable and painted its enemies as awkward, tired, and out of touch zombies. It's all about the narrative. This is why independent thinking is so important, because you have to be careful you're not being a part of someone's narrative. Like, what are people trying to get you to think? What I'm trying to get you to think is not only think for yourself, but to know when you're being manipulated. Women have been duped into thinking that this is the only way modern. The influence is so subtle yet so pervasive that even having a discussion on this topic can be difficult, because we live under the impression that we are free thinkers. The irony is that thinkers are generally not free when they think just like everybody else. That's what the book is saying. The sisterhood only extends to like-minded women, and women who fall outside of the groupthink are really somehow not women. As we saw in the last chapter, women can be psychotic, schizophrenic, addicts, lesbians, or anything else under the sun. But virgins, contented mothers, and pro-lifers are no longer considered women. A new website touting this freedom features articles on the topic entitled "My Abortion Was Gentle, Irreverent, and Empowering. Best Decision of My Life. Abortion is Mercy, and Thank God for Abortion." America's first large network of professional women was Catholic nuns. In the 1900s, they built and ran the country's largest private schools and hospital systems. These women were nurses, teachers, and CEOs. One of the strangleholds that feminism has had upon women is the impression it offers that women could do nothing before its arrival, and that it is the only movement that has been of assistance to women, both of which are patently false. And she talks about how the Catholic nuns and stuff were doing things in the system reports. No room for logic and truth. This is a woman writing this, a religious Catholic woman at that. So if people like to say, well, if you believe in Santa Claus, if you believe in God, this woman's talking about the feminist movement has no room for logic and truth. Instead of saying we were wrong about how much kids need parents or about when life begins, they dig their heels in deeper, saying they just need more sex, government programs, or better education. Anything but the family, anything but life. When talking about women's issues, feminists aren't searching for truth, but pushing savvy talking points. They aren't seeking authentic justice, but maintaining a shallow narrative. And they aren't promoting real love for womanhood, but furthering a distorted agenda. Ultimately, feminism and its goals appear to be built upon trends, fads, emotional whims, and political posturing that are all tethered to the dogma of abortion. Chapter 10, Imitating Mary. The holier a woman is, the more she is a woman. And, I mean, it's really a perfect analogy when you think about it, because if not only think about it, how's the feminist movement anti-Mary, like the Catholic Mary, right? It's anti-Mary, and the women, a lot of the leaders, like a lot of the early feminists, their mothers had mental illnesses. So these feminist leaders, their mothers had mental illnesses, and they grew to create a doctrine that is anti-Mary. And Mary is like the pure symbol of motherhood. That's crazy when you think about it. That trauma of having a mentally ill mother, it just grew and manifested into something that was anti-Mary. These women probably weren't Catholic. Some of them might not even been religious like that. And she also talks about how some of the feminists ended up becoming religious after, 40s, 50s, or whatever. But the point I'm trying to make is, it's crazy how, like, you think it's not really relatable, but it is. You're raised by a mother that has a mental illness. It traumatizes you so much, it draws you to manifest and create a feminist doctrine, a feminist ideology. And this feminist ideology is rooted in anti-motherhood. But you had a terrible childhood due to your mother. So really, feminism is just a huge projection of troubled parenting, creating trauma into these women. But it's blaming men. Not saying the fathers didn't have some responsibility in it, but you get what I'm saying? Like, that's how deep this stuff goes. You can be raised to come up with the doctrine that makes you want to hate and empower women. It's like you want to empower women because that's really you. Everything is all a projection. You want to empower women because you didn't feel empowered. And you despise motherhood because it reminds you of how bad your mother was, subconsciously. That's too deep for y'all, but maybe we'll continue it in another video. The Anti-Mary. Check it out. Rent it from your library. I give it a 7.5, low 8 out of 10. It's definitely worth it. It's a good, quick read. If you're not like an expert, or if you have like a woman or female in your life that you're trying to get out of this feminist prison or something, I would recommend you slide this to them. If they're super anti-religious though, I wouldn't do it. But they don't have to be religious. But even if they're like, okay, God, I believe in God and stuff. But if they get triggered when you bring up religion, I wouldn't recommend it to them. But I would definitely look into it. Hope this review helped.